Hi, thank you for joining me here on Thoughts to Freedom. My name is Kim, and in my videos, I help people to identify and to change their thoughts to achieve freedom. And today, I would like to talk about my Kundalini awakening. It started for me on May 12th of this year, and I am still going through it as I speak. And there are a number of YouTube videos out there to help you with this. So I will merely tell you my point of view on the process. So for me, it is my timeline that I want to point out. And when I was about 10 years old, I was in the church I attended at the edge of my small town in southern Minnesota. And after the service, I had decided that I really didn't know where God was or who God was. So I walked out into the narthex and looked back at the altar and wondered just exactly what this God thing was all about. Certainly, the presence of the Almighty would bring a powerful sense or feeling. And I really did not feel it as a kid. So that day, when I was 10 years old, I started to really look at the divine presence. In the narthex at that time, there were two men from my community. They were out there right in front of me, and they were two businessmen. I looked up to the one on the right and searched for the spirit in him and decided it was not there. Then I looked up at the other man that was talking to him, and again, I decided God was not in him. Now, mind you, I was a young kid, and certainly the Holy Presence was in the church and in these men. And it was the youthful me that could not find it. However, that day, way back when I was 10 years old, or about 10 years old, I then developed a deep desire to find God. So at that point, I decided that in my life, I would connect with the Almighty. How would I accomplish that? I did not know. Essentially, though, I did surrender at that young age, about 10. Then I went about my life and went to college at some point, eventually got married, had two children, and for many, many years I was employed in the workforce. And in the year 1997, and after I divorced from my husband, I met a neighbor who was an expert in metaphysics, which is the branch of philosophy that attempts to explain things. And that is when my spirituality was ignited, and I submersed myself in that subject. From there, I continued to just go about my business. Travel was on the top of my agenda. I did a lot of that. I bought my cars, the things that I wanted in life. Life was good and I had fun. Most of all, I had fun. And all my life, I have been physically active. And for many years now, I jog several days per week. But in 2009, I had a fall. I had 3 falls in 3 months and ended up with a muscle tear in my leg and had a limp. Since I had studied spirituality and metaphysics, I decided to go online and find out just why I was falling on the ground. That just didn't seem right. But looking at it from that perspective, the answer was that my body was starting to go through physical changes to be able to accommodate the new spiritual energy I was about to access. And my day had come. So in 2010, I met my twin soul, and we had a 2-year relationship. And I went through the dark night of the soul, or began to. And after that, I spiraled, though, into an abyss. And that took me many years to process through, but I eventually did. And it was a major part of my spiritual awakening that did happen. It started in 2013. And I went through considerable good times and bad times. And I was in that awakening process for 10 full years, which, like I said, the dark night of the soul, which is really the dark night of the ego, because the ego has to die. The soul never has any problems. So anyway, at that time I lost everything, but many go through that dark period of time, and the ego does, start to disintegrate. So phenomenal is really the word, and essentially it was over in 2023. I was done. At the end of all that, I was not enlightened. But during that time, I submerged myself into 3 spiritual practices: the 12-step program, A Course in Miracles, and the Sacred Secretion. Along with that was, for me, deep prayer and meditation almost daily. But the Sacred Secretion practice I started 1 year ago in 2024. And I believe that to be the trigger for my Kundalini awakening. So this awakening is not as long as a spiritual awakening. And for me, that was 10 years. And generally, this lasts a few months. And I have been on this Kundalini awakening for about 2.5 months. And as of today, I'm not finished. I'm still going through it. And because I journal, I found out that I was on this awakening. And on May 12th, I wrote, "Oh, I just feel terrible." And on my May 13th entry, I put, "Oh, I feel bad again. I was so tired, I just can't even tell you about it." On June 22nd, I wrote, "How much do I have to suffer on the ego level of life? I have reached the spiritual awakening realm and I have arrived. So why am I going through this?" So my entry into the journal on July 20th of this year was, "Thank you, soul. Today I realized I am going through the Kundalini awakening. Lately, I have noticed that I do not like the things I used to enjoy, like being around people, socializing, interacting with others in groups. I feel alone. I've lost that desire and am extremely tired, even though I have deep sleep nightly." So body aches are present now. They've been present, and this makes it hard for me to jog. There's considerable pain all over my body. I'm having hot flashes, but I have already gone through the change of life. I'm done with that. But actually I get extremely hot, and then I get cold again. Further, I went on to write that I had seen a green garden snake out on my lawn of my house. And I do live in Houston, Texas. And there is a bio behind my house. And then when searching for information on the Kundalini on the internet, a real similar looking snake was on that video. One of these. So anyway, I have looked forward, and in fact, In my journal, I did write on July 20th, I look forward to the expansion. And then daily I journaled with an entry on July 22nd that read, "The feeling that I am dead is apparent. Death is how I see it, like I am gone." So July 26th, I wrote in my journal that I saw another snake similar to the other snake outside the front yard of my house, only it was thinner and not as green, more of a tan green color with the same brown lines from head to toe. Both had that. And so it's like I saw both the symbols. I mean, how funny is that? I've lived in my house for, I guess about 17 years, and I haven't had any snakes come up, and now I've had two. So I don't know if one is masculine and the other is the feminine one. I'm not really sure. But the other symptoms I have include a different sense of time. It's like time is slower. And when I wake up in the morning, which is usually between 7 or between 6 or 7 a.m., and by 9 o'clock in the morning, it seems like it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So I don't know. But many of my ego-based racing thoughts have gone away or are much more diminished, which is really good because I really don't like my egotistical racing thoughts that I always have that are hard to control. There are many times throughout the day that I simply feel happy and get an overall peaceful feeling. I don't do anything special to be happy. It just comes to me. And it's because I believe of this Kundalini awakening, and I'm not done with it yet. So I do hope to get back with you as I progress with this awakening. Journaling would be a great help for any of you along the way as you spiritually evolve. And your thoughts will shift from the ego-based radio station we listen to in our minds to the spiritual thoughts, the real thoughts to freedom. So good luck on your journey with your spirituality, and I will see you again on another video. Thank you.